care to chair it, or would you like me to?
I'm fine with you.
Okay, that's fine. If everybody's fine with me, that works for me. Okay, so it looks like Allison is not here. We've got Mike virtually. Is Todd there?
Oh, yeah. No, it's not now.
You said not yet? Okay. We've got Jim and Cherie. It looks like we've got 3, so you've got quorum. It looks like we've got Jason there. I see Kristen, Andrew. I see you there. Steve. I don't know if we've got Steve here. We've got Alicia, though. Is Jason McMillan? There you go. I see you. And Amy Goodson. There you go. And is Tara there? I think I see her. Hi, Tara.
Jason Wallace. Oh, she's
Jason Wall's here too? Okay, thank you.
Laura and Leslie are.
I see, yeah. Sorry, I'm just writing them down.
Alana's
All right. So I'm gonna hit, Tori, we are ready to stream. Are you currently streaming it, or do you want me to?
Nope, I got the stream going. You're all set to go.
Awesome. So next month, this should be a little bit easier. They changed a couple things on us. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. Just a minute. We're gonna call the meeting to order. 9:03. Just a minute here. Sorry, my computer's running just a little bit slow. All right, so we are looking, is there any public comment, Jason?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Great. All right, well then we're gonna move on to routine business. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
so moved.
Second,
And we're gonna do a roll call vote because we've got people virtually. Mike? We're doing a roll call vote, Mike. Awesome, thank you. Jim?
yes.
Cherie?
Yes.
All right, so we've got the agenda approved. We've got the outreach recruitment plan. Emily, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share my screen now.
All right, well, it's all yours, Emily.
Put it in full screen mode for you. Can everyone see that okay? Okay, great. Hi, I'm Emily Del Vecchio. I am the Director of Partner Marketing and Strategy here at PBS. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to take you through the plans for 2026 and some key initiatives we have for the year ahead. So first, just a little bit about our team and how we work with your school. In partnering with Pearson, your school receives strategic marketing support and expertise that's designed specifically to drive enrollment growth for your school. And we unite a high-level strategy with a professional level of execution that's backed by this full powerhouse of marketing subject matter experts that you see there on the right. On the left, we work really closely with your school's leader, Jason, and the marketing reps to get that school level context and localized content that helps us bring your school story to life. My team there in the middle, partner marketing and strategy, we are responsible for the overall marketing strategy. We make sure that it's aligned to your school's needs and priorities. And we're sort of the conduit to this broader team of subject matter experts that are the powerhouse behind driving awareness, attracting new families, and supporting the enrollment experience. And this way you can really, your school doesn't have to worry about going to each and every one of these people, but my team is that liaison and direct point of contact for you for marketing. So a little bit about these areas that we have you covered on. Public relations and communications. This is all about getting your school's story out via local news outlets and managing the reputation. We have a moderation team that sits in this group that's doing 24/7 moderating of any comments that come through on your social media pages or third-party review sites so that we can very quickly respond and field those inquiries. Our content and organic social teams, they're telling the school story through engaging high quality posts, blogs, and content across social media and other websites. Our performance media or digital advertising team, this is paid advertising that we run on Google or other search engines, and Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, or YouTube and other targeted websites to reach new families. The direct marketing team nurtures families through, jumped ahead here, nurtures families through email and SMS text message, really helping support them in the enrollment journey. And then we have website and search. This is all about making sure that your school is easy to find and navigate online. And then we also have expertise in answer engine optimization, or AEO. And this is about making sure that the brand is visible in AI-powered answered engines like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. And I'll talk a little bit more about this on a subsequent slide. And then virtual events, we partner with the school to host virtual information sessions that are for engaging interested families and answering their questions. And then last but not least, we have brand and creative services that's professional photography, videography, copywriting, and design, graphic design services. So a little bit about our strategy and approach to marketing. We take a bottoms-up approach to how we introduce marketing and bring consumers and new families through the enrollment journey. So we really prioritize the channels that reliably convert families first, and then we layer in re-engagement and awareness to expand the reach. And this allows us to create multiple touch points that move caretakers through from interested to action. And so you can sort of think about these as building blocks, and you'll see that we start at the bottom there with capturing high intent demand. These are families that we know are very likely to enroll. They've shown through digital signals that they're interested in virtual schools and ready to take action. So this is where things like our Google paid search campaign specifically come into play as they really drive enrollment conversion. And we start here because we really don't want to leave any of these folks on the table. We want to capture all of this high intent demand. From there, we build on that to engage interested families and really build consideration and interest. So these are families that maybe aren't quite ready to enroll, but they're doing their research, they're spending time on our website. And this is where things like our email marketing to help nurture that experience, or maybe our virtual events come into play, because both of those tools help build that consideration amongst this audience so that when they are ready to take action, we're there top of mind. And then from there, we expand with channels that help reach a broader audience to introduce the school to those folks. So they may not necessarily be ready to take action, but they are interested in virtual schooling, and we want to make sure they might not know who we are. We want to make sure that we get out in front of them. They have awareness of who we are so that when they are ready to take action, they're thinking of us. And this approach really lets us scale confidently because every layer supports measurable movement towards enrollment. So the key strategic pillars that underpin this strategy I just walked through are here on this slide. Our vision for 2026 is really growth, innovation, and precision. And so these pillars allow us to ensure that we remain a top choice for local families and drive that growth efficiently. So first, everything we do is data-driven. We're leveraging past performance data, consumer insights, market research, and industry trends, technology, the latest platform advancements to continually optimize and test. Sorry, I keep getting a notification that I'm have a weak network, so hopefully you all can hear me, but just stop me if you can't.
We can. I'll stop you if it starts becoming
Okay,
weird.
great. You gotta love technology as I'm talking about technology advancements. But anyway, as I mentioned, we're continually testing and optimizing our approach so that we are reaching the right people at the right time. And so we're prioritizing those digital tactics that allow us to track and measure everything. And they also allow us to be nimble. So if something isn't working well, we can pivot quickly. We've built a data tool that looks at our most successful families, and then it goes out and finds lookalike families online. This ensures that our ads are getting shown to the people who are actually most likely to join our family. And it means we're making more strategic, smarter decisions with our efforts and really getting in front of the right people and the most impact from everything we have in market. And we're also taking that data and leveraging AI. I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail on the next slide. And last but not least, we combine all of this great data-driven targeting and information with authentic storytelling to leverage the power of our brand and meet every family where they are. And we have some exciting brand initiatives that I will go into detail in the next couple slides as well. First up, one of the ways that we're really optimizing and staying ahead is with that AI search. So we know that the first thing that most parents are doing when they're looking for an education option for their child is they search online. And right now there is a shift from traditional search to AI search. So families are no longer just simply Googling. They're also taking to AI tools and LLMs like ChatGPT or Gemini and asking specific questions like, what's the best online school near me? And our team, we have a whole team of specialists as well as an agency that we work with that's dedicated to optimizing so that we're showing up in those answers and that AI is recommending our school and that we're showing up in those AI-powered search engine results. And so this is something that is a little bit more behind the scenes, but it's critically important because we want to make sure that we are showing up and we're connecting with those families who need a solution. Next, so you heard me mention how elevating the power of brand is a pillar of our strategy, and a key initiative here is this new brand value proposition. So a brand value proposition, or BVP for short, is really just an internal statement that communicates why a customer should choose a brand over its competition. And organizations really use it to stay grounded in who they are as a brand when they're making decisions. It's inspirational, it's internal. And our previous brand value proposition was really back from pandemic days and rooted in functional aspects of our offering. And this new one really allows us to focus on the emotional value we bring and the value of connections as our differentiator, and for the differentiator for how we speak about the value we bring to our families. And so we introduced this initially to school leaders at the Summer Leadership Conference this past June. And since then, we quickly capture new content featuring real students, real families, real staff, and their stories. And we got that into market during our peak enrollment season last year so that we could really test and see what is working well, what's resonating with our audience. And now we're able to scale that for this year ahead. And so on the next slide, I have a couple of the themes that rose to the top as high performers. And so you'll see more of this in our creative for the year ahead. But this first one is disproving the generalization that online school means online only. So a lot of the creative will feature how kiddos are able to build connections in real life, things like our in-person field trips, or if there's in-person prom, graduation, things like that. In the middle, we found that when we talk about the concept of belonging and use that messaging, it really helped the school feel more real and personal. And then last, but certainly not least, when we shared dedicated and specific examples of our caring teachers, we found that that really gave parents that final push in deciding to enroll. And I think for us in marketing, this is really a sweet spot because our teachers are just such a key element to our model, and building those connections with not only the students, but with their learning coaches and the entire family. And it really is what makes us different from other traditional homeschool options where it's all on the parents alone. And then just I'll touch a little bit about the website. So on the left is what the homepage looked like about a year ago, and this is where we've evolved to. We're continuing to modernize the look and feel. We've incorporated messaging from that brand value proposition I just talked about, and we've infused more school specifics on the pages. And everything we do is we test first. So we're continually running little tester experiments to see what is resonating best with our audience. So from everything from the colors to the images to the language, we test, and we want to make sure that it's not going to have any adverse effect on the site's performance, and that we're removing any barriers for people who are trying to enroll from the site. And we want to make it as easy as possible for parents to go from interested to applied. And so not only are we always optimizing for that parent experience, but also for the search engines as well, because as I've mentioned, we want to make sure that we're showing up and that they're able to find us online. And then just a quick sneak peek at something that's to come. We will be doing a brand refresh, and it's really modernizing and elevating the brand a little bit further. It's not a full-blown rebrand, so the logo will stay the same, but we're kind of elevating the color palette and the visual elements. And you'll see this really in earnest for next school year in terms of timing, but you might start to see some of these new creative elements creep in before then. So I wanted to give that sneak peek, but we're excited because it really does kind of take the brand to the next level in terms of the look and feel. So and next, I just have a quick slide about the alternative school, the Bridge School, just to show some of the things that we've stood up so far for that school. A dedicated website. We link to it from the GRCA nav. So for people who maybe land there first but are a better fit, they can easily find that. And we have some printed materials to support the outreach on that. And then on the right is an example of the email, as we have email nurture like we do with GRCA for these kiddos as well. And then finally, I just want to close by sharing a video from our national brand campaign that launched across Pearson's channels in early March. It features a Connections Academy graduate, and the campaign is designed to spotlight real learner stories and the long-term impact that Pearson-supported education has. And this student, Savannah, her story really stood out. And so I thought the spot was really worth sharing because not only is her story really moving and impactful and representative of a lot of the kiddos that we help here at Connections Academy, but it's just another way to see how Pearson is backing your school from the global level, national scale, and having Connections Academy part of this campaign means your school's benefiting from significant brand exposure and this beautiful storytelling. And it really helps set up awareness and all those more localized tactics that I just went through for success, because there's this built-in layer of awareness going into it. So I'm going to go ahead and play that.
I'm going to mute you,
What would
Emily.
you want the 14-year-old you to know? Hi, Savannah. Do you recognize me?
My dad, he did pass away when I was younger from a brain bleed. Growing up, I knew that I wanted to go to NYU so I could figure out a way to help someone else's dad. There was a lot of bullying at my in-person school. Also, my mom got diagnosed with cancer, so I hated going to school, and I just genuinely wanted to stop.
Hi, Savannah. Do you know who I am?
You're me. This sounds just like me. This is too crazy.
So, I'm the version of you at 14. I'm at the point in your life when you had just dropped out of school and mom was sick at home. I don't really have anyone to talk to about it.
It was very hard and lonely. I felt like all of my dreams were just going away.
It's all so much pressure. With mom, the bullying, school, how did you manage it all?
Well, luckily, I was able to find an online school that was very understanding and helpful.
I just want a life surrounded by friends. If I asked you to write me a letter, what would you want the 14-year-old you to know?
Dear little me, hi, it's you, but taller. And by the way, the bangs were not a phase. I know right now it feels so lonely and sad, but this period of your life helps you build discipline and independence, and you're gonna need it for where you're going. One day, very soon, you'll have everything you've ever wanted right in front of you. Connections Academy changes your life, and where you're going is NYU.
Wow, really? That's awesome. Hearing you say that I finish high school online, that I make it makes me feel hopeful. On the days when it feels like I'll never belong anywhere, I'll remember that I become you.
It's crazy to think about. You choose a school and then it completely changes the trajectory of the rest of your life. Now I just love my life.
And that's all I have for today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you guys have any questions before I move on? All right.
Good
Well,
one.
we
Thank
are,
you.
Jason, we are over to your report.
All right. Good morning, everyone. As you see in your board packet, I know it gives you the monthly report at the end of March. So the enrollment then was 2329. As of today, it's 2293. As you know, enrollment closing at the beginning of March, it's not uncommon for us to see a little bit of a dip this time of year, especially leading up to state testing and post spring break. We get some students who decide not to come back from spring break. And so, we're moving, we're still certainly trending a lot higher than we were this time last year, which is great. But as I said, 2293 is our present overall school enrollment. K5, 573, 6.8, 580, 912 is 1140. That's probably where we've seen the largest decline is in 912, given that 169 of those students are in the alt program. So in the general GRCA program, we did fall just below 1,000, which is probably the first time since August we've been below 1,000 in that age grade. But again, not uncommon. That still continues to be the area where engagement is the highest concern, and we continue to try to push that as much as possible. Special ed, we continue to trend 18% of our population, so we're 423 students in special ed as of this morning. This time of year, of course, goes from looking at what our present enrollment is to focusing on intent to return, trying to maximize that enrollment going into next year. So not all of those 200 or 2,293 students are eligible to return, of course, because of graduates, et cetera. And so I don't know if the number pull up by chance. Okay, so we're having some issues with the reports this morning, but we've been really targeting doing some outreach to those families. It's been open for a while for them to tell us their plans for next year. I think overall we have about 78% that have totally filled it out. Last time I looked at it, it was above 1,300 and around 1,350 students of that, around probably 2,000 students that are planning to return, but we still have around 500 that have not given us an answer yet. So there's still plenty of opportunity as well to maximize that number. I think we are already higher than we were last year in terms of what the overall number of intent to return is. But given that our enrollment has gone up, we still want to make sure that we're seizing the opportunity to make that number even higher. Knowing that our enrollment goal of September 30th next year is around 2,200 students. The more students that we are bringing back, the less students that we have to really be concerned about bringing in at the start of the year. So trending in the right direction, still plenty of opportunity, and we'll continue to push that throughout the year. The next phase of that is as teachers are doing end of year calls, they will get a specific list of those in their homeroom that they're reaching out to that have not yet filled out that information, so that they can have that individual conversation with them during that end of year call that we do. So, any questions about intent to return numbers, etc. there? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Leslie for a quick testing update, as you saw all the boxes when you came in. So today's the last day of testing, as I know everyone's thankful for, but I'll let Leslie give a brief update there.
So as we report every year, the state really wants us to hit that 95% goal. As of this morning, we were at 97. So thankfully we're there. We have I said 4 to 5 more testing this morning, and then I keep hearing of more kids that have come out of the woodwork. So we probably have about 10 still testing this morning, so that number will go up a little bit. We have one for sure who will be withdrawn at the end of the school year for the 2-year non-tested role. Another one, she's scheduled at 10:30, so it just depends. If she shows up today, then she'll be okay. If not, she'll be withdrawn as well. With the one kid for sure that will be withdrawn, it is not for lack of trying. Even because we can do remote testing this year, we offered in person, we offered library, we offered remote. The student just refused, and the parent understands, so he'll be withdrawn. With remote testing, started out a little rough. We had some tech issues that we worked through for week 1. Very few kids remote tested week 1, but we figured it out for week 2, and we probably had 80 to 100 kids do remote testing. In our reality, we would not have hit the 95% without that remote testing. So I was very thankful that we were able to do that this year. The staff that got trained for that did an awesome job of facilitating and monitoring to make sure the validity is there for the test. So I'm excited for the remote testing, and hopefully we can continue it into the future.
The remote testing, we piloted it with some of our 3rd graders. So I got together with the 3rd grade teachers and had them look at students who tested in the fall, maybe didn't quite get the proficiency score right on bubble, or maybe they were anxious, and we felt like they also had proper support at home. We trained those parents on how to get their kid in, explained they had to walk away once the student was in, and tested those 3rd graders from home. And the feedback that I got from parents was, this was the best opportunity for our child. Thank you. And I'm curious to see how that affects their scores if you remove certain stressors from an environment that they're not familiar with, especially with those younger learners. So we had about 7 or 8 3rd graders that we did that with. So I was apprehensive at first, but like Leslie said, we came around and it worked out really well for those students, at least emotionally. Something.
And our scores will come in mid to late May, so we'll be able to really look at those ones, and then all of them across the board to see if doing remote testing did make the scores better, because like you said, it took out those stressors.
Given that over the last few years, because this will be the 3rd year in a row that we've met that 95% or beyond number, which is great. So we feel like we have that piece of it down. The remote testing element is going to add in, some interesting pieces into next year, given that we have to now give, and assuming, I don't know if that's statute yet or not, but whether or not it's giving the opportunity to say what the preference is for families to come in. I know that there's potential for that. So we'll see how that goes in terms of how widely we have to offer remote testing versus in person. For me, what this remote testing has also shown is that the need for in-person testing is still very much there and a reality. So I hope we don't necessarily have to go too far in the other direction. But we'll see where that goes, and we'll adjust as we do. But given that we've met that participation rate over the last few years kind of transitioned the focus to being more about good test taking strategies, performance, etc. So the push this year, we did a going for gold. You have the stickers in front of you. Nobody's ever too old for stickers. But we had those made with our mascot, the eagle there in the middle. And we've played around with that logo throughout the year to try to theme it and keep it consistent every month. But this year was around the Olympics since we just had those in the winter. So we did an opening ceremonies and a 3-day spirit week prior to testing. And then we talked about, students taking their time, using their scratch paper, getting a good night's sleep, all those different types of things that going into the day and during the day to try to focus and improve the testing outcome, doing what they can do to try to better the outcomes for themselves. And overall, I think it went, really, really well. We did see some really great strategies and some improvements in those areas. Now, whether or not that will, lead to better outcomes, we'll see. Certainly hopeful that that's the case. But then we identified what we called, they used that going for gold strategies. We identified them as a testing champion. They got the sticker at the end of testing to take with them. And then they're also entered into a raffle where we'll do a couple in different grade levels where they can win surprises at the end of the year just for, using those test taking strategies. So we tried to make it a larger theme. We're going to have at the beginning of next week a 3-day end to it as well. We'll have 3 more spirit days and then a closing ceremonies on our wellness day, which is this Wednesday as well. So trying to tie that all together, give opportunities for students to, show some more traditional spirit week type of things that they might see. That's been one of the things that we've heard more of, is that they want to try to do some of the things that they would do in the traditional setting as well. So how they can show that, how they can highlight, what they're doing is the tricky part, and trying to figure that out. But it's gone well so far, and we're hopeful we'll see the outcomes change as well. So, all right, I'm going to turn it over to Alana for a quick senior update. And how did you get with it? Yeah, so anybody that's either on the board or here in person should have a piece of paper too. I'll bring it up, share my screen here and bring it up for anyone online.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I wanted to provide a printout of numbers because you'll hear a lot of numbers coming at you. So you might want to reference the sheet or look at that as we're going on. We have had 17 winter grads this year. 10 of those were on-time graduates, a couple early, a couple late, but 10 of them are on time for our final graduation report card rate. We have 268 final grade seniors, so kids that we are looking to graduate in the spring or over the summer, and 232 of those are on time. So internally, that on-time graduation rate would be around 87%. Again, that's our internal on-time graduation rate if all of those students graduate. 16 are early, 15 are 5-year, and 5 will have no impact, so past 5-year. 38 of those students are in the ALT program, so they're making their way through things. We have 251 expected to be spring graduates, and then 17 that we're already planning, like, hey, you have to take some credit recovery or do some things over the summer, but do plan to finish out on time. So currently the denominator is around 340 students. So again, if we're counting the 10 on-time winter grads that have already graduated and the 232 students that were on time anticipating to graduate, that's 242 out of about 340. So we anticipate about a 68 to 70% graduation rate on our report card. So hopefully all of those numbers make sense. But we're looking right around where we've always been and trending in that right direction, moving up. I did have some concerns with taking on the ALT program this year and taking in more at-risk kids, that number might drop, that graduation rate number might drop. But like I said, it is anticipated to be right around where we have been the last couple of years. So excited about that. Additionally, you know, students need more than just their credits to graduate. They need competency and SEALs. So students that are seniors that have competency and SEALs already met, that's 160. That is up 33 from last month when I reported that number. So we're making some good progress. Competency met, but they need SEALs still are 47. So that's down 24 in the right direction. So they've turned in their SEALs. We have 24 less students that we're tracking down SEALs for, and then still need to meet competency. That's 61. It's down 9 from last time. And that is an additional class that they have to take if they didn't meet competency through their EOC scores. So students sometimes finish that class early, but we do anticipate that most of those students will have this class completed by the end of the year. We have about two students that haven't started the class yet. So those are our ones that are of concern. Something that I didn't put on this report that I wanted to talk about today was the CCWMR component on the report card. That has now been a component for 2 years, and we have made huge strides this year to track the data for that more closely. So CCWMR is College, Career, Workforce, Military Readiness Indicators. And there's a list of about 11 indicators that the state is looking for to see if our students, you know, are either one of those ready, college, career, workforce, or military ready. So the goal is to have every student meet at least one indicator. And again, we've made some really good strides to not only track that better, but put things in place for students that aren't meeting that in the future to meet it. Just today, I got a Power BI report completed. I logged in, I looked at it, it's beautiful, it's working the way I expected, and pulling the data, I found 19 more students that we can add that indicator, that CCWMR indicator for, 11 of which are seniors. So we can, you know, obviously increase that by 11. Every student counts. So I'm really excited that we've done a better job this year in tracking that data. Our counselors are more intentional about looking at those indicators and making students ready. So just really excited, and I wanted to highlight that since, you know, that got released today. The counseling team updates, we do plan to hire some positions over the summer. We're excited about that. The counseling team has finished all of their graduation meetings for the year and have moved on to the returning student course selection, hoping to have all students placed in their courses for next year by the end of this year, and then continuing to focus on our seniors, collecting the SEALs, making sure they're passing their classes, all of that good stuff. Finally, our child welfare situations are listed on there. We have 52 active child welfare IAs at GRCA, and we have an additional 26 at OHBCA. Just to put that in perspective, my update from this time last year, we had 33 active child welfare IAs. So we have more than doubled that this year. I think a number of factors are to do with that. We had a ton of growth this year, but again, we took on a lot more at-risk kids with the ALT program. And so that just naturally came with, a rise in child welfare issues. So our team has been incredible, making sure that every child is followed up on, given supports, interventions that they need, and just tracking their overall well-being and in relation to their schooling. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, I am here.
Alana had mentioned that are planning to attend. 36 that are undecided. We have 60 that have said that they are not planning, but still 75 that we have not heard anything from on attending. So that number could be anywhere from 103 to 200. So we'll see where that ends up being. But it's always, it's always a great event for those of you that have attended in the past. It's a nice venue, and we're excited about that. We do have our graduate speaker this year is one of our staff members, Michaela Murphy. She actually recently spoke at the online learning day down at the State House. She was on a panel down there, but she is a present fifth grade, right? Teaches fifth grade with us. She graduated from OCA. She did all of her schooling, I believe, at OCA, so K through 12, and her dream when she left there was to come back as a teacher, and she wanted to teach at a connection school. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to highlight that, give a different perspective. She's obviously been in their seats, has gone through that, but is also now living out her dream and working at a connection school. So we're excited about that. She's very well spoken, and I'm sure we'll give a great speech. So we're excited about having her do that this year. Obviously now, sorry.
Fairgrounds again?
Yes, the Celeste Center Fairgrounds. Yep. Yes. June 6th. So obviously we're now shifting to an end of year focus. It's hard to believe that we're about ready into the last, I think we have less than 30 days before the end of the year. So May 22nd is the last day of school this year. So we do have some professional development plans. We have, as I mentioned, Wellness Day. We do that both in the fall and the spring. That's always a well-attended day. We're going to have a little bit of I mentioned closing ceremonies, etc., but it's going to have a little bit of an Earth Day feel, given that we just had Earth Day. And mainly the science department and other members of a committee kind of run that. And so they do a great job with having a bunch of different offerings for all of our students. So we're excited about that day. May 20th, we have our end of year field trips, family engagement activities. So we have 3 different options this year. Families can all on the same day, but besides the virtual options, we always have virtual options as well for those that can't attend in person. But we're going to go to a Clippers game this year, centrally located. We're going to go to Hale Farms, which is Akron Canton area, which is more of, if you're not familiar, more of like an older village setup where you can see what people did, at a certain time. I can't remember the exact time period that it is. We've heard good things. We haven't gone there before. And then we're also going back to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Museum down in the Dayton area. So those will be the 3 options for families. We have RSVPs open for that here for the next couple of weeks. Real quickly I know we've talked about K2 curriculum, how that was changing over the past few years. We're excited about those enhancements. But I should reference that even though we were planning on adding that and changing to that, the department did take away their final approval window for when we were planning on getting that approved for next year. And unfortunately, with taking that away, we're not going to be able to transition to that new curriculum for next year, at least in K2. Now, we are viewing that as an opportunity to kind of roll out some change more slowly, because next year we are transitioning to a new K5 math curriculum focused on IXL. And so I think given the fact that we're a little disappointed we're not going to be able to use some of those new enhancements in the K2 curriculum, we are, I think, in the long run, it may be a little bit of a blessing in disguise, because we're able to really dive into the math piece and focus on that, and then do the change into the ELA curriculum the following year, and kind of make it a little bit of a slower rollout with things, and more intentional, instead of all at once, let's just put our feet to the fire. So that could mean that we're looking at K5 ELA altogether. I don't know for sure if the 3-5 curriculum is on plan or on, whether or not that's supposed to be ready for the 27-28 school year, but it's possible. But we'll make sure that all the approval windows are met for that next year. But we do not plan on transitioning the K2 curriculum in the middle of a year. I think that will be too disruptive to staff and to families. But again, just wanted to give that brief update, as I know it's come up in the past. So, any questions about anything? All right. I think that is it for me. Thank you.
Jason, I just want to confirm, did you update on the Student Wellness and Success Fund? I just want to make sure that we covered that. I know it's a
Oh, I'm
requirement.
sorry. Yes, I noticed it was on one of the consent items or the action items
yeah.
later. You want me to do it now or later?
Yeah, if you don't mind just giving an update so I can minute it that way.
Okay. Yep. So just a brief update with that, as we will do. It's in your packet as well. I think it's like page 110.
That's fine.
107.
107. 1 second. There we go. So on 107, it just gives a brief update on student wellness plan. No real big changes, big focus on we've expanded our counseling staff over the past couple of years. We've been intentional about what we're doing in our TVIS, or what we call our SOAR program internally, on focusing in on the relationship building, giving students opportunities to kind of highlight themselves, giving them opportunities to meet with people, have some support here locally, and then we continue to try to find those relationships across the state, to meet students where they are. That always is, I think, for us, the challenge is trying to find that local relationship for all 88 counties. But we are continuing to, enhance those offerings. There's some internal system things that have come up this year with some different alert systems that have given us and highlighted some opportunities to work with students on things that maybe we were unaware of, that based on their searching and how they're going about their engagement, has allowed for us to kind of engage with them in a different way. But no real big changes, a continuation of what we've done. We'll continue to use those funds appropriately. And so that's the general update for this year, but I believe it is on the agenda either as a consent item or an action item here later. So that's what that is in reference to.
Thanks, Jason. It is an action item. It looks like we are onto the financial report now with Jason McMillan.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So just very quickly go through the financials for the month of March, just to highlight a few things. At the end of the month, the cash balance was just over $619,000. We do have at the end of the month two outstanding invoices to Pearson for their support and services for the month of February and March, which I believe are on the agenda today for your approval. Financially here through March, as Jason mentioned, we continue to trend much higher as far as our student enrollment and funded FTE. So we're just under 2,000 students that are being funded for this year. So you'll see financially, as a result of that, our revenues continue and have continued throughout the year to trend much higher than where, where we originally budgeted for the school. In the month of March, you'll see that while we didn't submit reimbursement for federal funds, that's strictly a timing in relation to when we submit those versus when we budget those each quarter. So we'll get those submitted, and those numbers and those financial revenues are not lost opportunity. It's just a timing issue. Financially, though, as student enrollments have continued to be much higher, we continue to see instructional employment costs a little bit higher, as well as the related enrollment and revenue-based fees that are tied directly to the revenue of the school. Financially, through the end of March, we still reflect a net loss for the 9-month period. That was budgeted that way, but as we quickly approach the last quarter of the fiscal year here and begin to receive the credits from Pearson, we'll see the financials and the projection come back in line with what the original budget and financial projection for the school. You'll also have in your materials today the updated forecast that Pearson provides each month as they update a projection through the end of the fiscal or academic year. And those trends here again highlight that revenues will be higher, as well as many of the related expenses, enrollment and revenue-based fees will also be higher. But as we approach the end of the year, as I mentioned, and receive those service credits, we'll come kind of back in line with what the original budget was for the year. The other thing that's in your materials today is the audit. That audit now has been completed and released. Just as a reminder, this was a transition year between audit firms. This was the first year that the Auditor of State completed that audit. So from a timing standpoint, started a little bit later than what traditionally we see happen. We did have a March 31st deadline because it was a single audit. So because the school expended over $750,000 in federal funds, we had to have that completed and submitted to the clearinghouse by March 31st. So that was completed, but the audit results are there. Just to highlight, we received a clean opinion. So overall, from a financial and compliance standpoint, things went very smoothly. There were no findings or findings for recovery. There was one management letter comment, and it pertained to training, cybersecurity and training here within Massive Financial and our organization, which we are addressing with our IT provider as we move forward to address that, so that that will not be a documented issue as we move forward. The reason for that is they do a detailed IT review of our financial controls and service providers for all of our schools. And that was one area that they identified here as we support this school, as well as other schools from financial services and treasurer services. And that would conclude my report, but certainly if you do have any questions, I would be more than happy to address them.
Hey, Jason, a couple of things if you guys can hear me now.
Yep.
So the first thing on what you just mentioned, the cybersecurity training, et cetera, whatever you just mentioned for IT, will we get notification that that program is in place at some point?
Yeah, certainly we can do that. So as I mentioned, we're working with our IT service provider to make sure to implement something along that regard, so that when AOS does their review of our controls and systems for next year's audit or this current year, that won't be an issue. But certainly I can provide an update to the board regarding that when that is in place.
Thank you. And then the second thing, and I believe it's the February invoice. One of the documents was about what, $1 million, 1.1, and the other one was 1.7. Am I reading that right or wrong? It's like around page 44 in the packet. So the printed invoice is 1,000,096. And then page 2 has the same number and described it as direct charges. And then the detail sheet for February shows 1.718. Maybe I'm getting the papers mixed up out of order, but just want to confirm that 1096 is the right number.
So the 1,000,007 is the correct number for the total invoice services for the month.
Okay.
The million, and let me see if I can find that page. Is Steve O'Brien on?
I am Steve today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you know, in looking at that February, and I'm trying to find that, what he is referencing?
I'm just pulling it up as well.
So it's on page 44 and 45 in the packet.
Okay, I have the.
Alicia, looking at page 2 of that invoice, it looks like it says GLLA, not GRCA.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
think it's the wrong one. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, all of it says. straight-
Well, that would be
Like the wrong one got it.
why, I guess.
Sorry.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Yeah, so the 1,000,007 is the correct, the 1,000,007, I think 18 or 19.
All right. So when we do the consent items, we're approving the 1.7.
That is correct.
All
I
right.
think as was identified there, there's a supporting schedule for, it looks like a Michigan school in the materials.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the wrong month as well. Yeah, the February invoice amount is the 171805472.
And that is the correct number.
Okay. Thank you. I was just a little confused.
No, that's a
And-
good catch.
Yes.
Jason, does that conclude your report?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and nobody has any other questions from the board? All right. Well, then we are moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone on the board wants to pull out? It looks like we've got the approval of the minutes from the February 27th meeting, the staffing report for February and March, the Pearson invoices for February and March, the bank reconciliation, and the staff compensation plan for the 26-27 school year. If there are no questions, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to do a roll call vote now. Mike,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Cherie.
Yeah.
Wonderful, that passes. Let's move on to the action items. The board is being asked to table the consideration and approval of the MOU between GRCA and the Bridge Connections Academy. I believe that's going to go on the next agenda in May. Kristen, can you confirm that?
Yes, it'll be for May. There's nothing alarming here. We did talk to OCCS this week, and the one piece that is coming out of the MOU, because I know it was already in the packet, is the facility, and that's going to be right now, GRCA, it has a sublease. So Pearson owns the lease with the landlord, and then we sublease it out. So GRCA already has that. So GRCA is going to get an amended sublease since you already have one, and it's just going to be a little bit less space and less money because one office of the entire rented facility will be for Bridge right now. So Bridge will get a new sublease between the Bridge board as in Pearson. So they just wanted to show the separation. So that's coming out, and I didn't want to change that last minute. So I thought it was appropriate to move that to next month, but we will work on just updating those subleases. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. All right, so I'd be looking for a motion and a second to table the MOU.
So moved.
Second.
All right, a roll call vote. Mike,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Cherie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's move on to the approval of the revised sponsor contract and performance and accountability goals. Jason, I have you listed here, and I'm not sure if Amy wants to speak to this. Amy, are you on?
This is just what we had talked about at your last meeting about changing one of your board specific goals. And so we had talked about doing a board self-evaluation, part of which would be your participation in school events. So it's not that the entire evaluation is only like your old goal where, you know, you were required to attend a school event. So I workshopped that with OCCS. They are happy with this language. So upon your adoption today, then that will be updated along with the other sponsor contract modifications, which we also discussed briefly last time. These are just to bring things up to speed with new statutes. We had the budget bill, and there's constantly statutes getting applied to community schools, and so everything will be nice and neat and compliant upon your approval today. And then with regard to that board goal, what I'll do is present to you as the board a draft of a possible board self-evaluation that is not controlled by OCCS. That is something you can develop on your own. But I believe that the directive I heard at your last meeting was you wanted me to at least start a draft for you. And then from there, you can use that. And upon your completion of that, that'll help you meet that part of your performance accountability plan.
Any questions? All right, well then I'm looking for a motion and a second for the approval of the revised sponsor contract and performance and accountability goals.
This is Jason Wall. Can I chime in real quick?
Sure.
The resolution states board chair. She's not here. And the contract needs to be signed by the board chair.
Okay.
Here, can we authorize someone else is here to that person?
Certainly. Is there a reason that we wouldn't want to send it to the board chair to sign, or did you want it to be signed today? Is that what we're saying?
I mean, if you respond in enough time to get it back to us, then I'm fine. Waiting for her to sign, but timing is of the essence. So I don't know how responsive he is.
That's okay. We can go ahead and ask for a designee. I'm not sure which one of the board members would like to do it. I'm gonna
The board secretary, I'm the board secretary, Todd should just do it.
Okay.
That is fair. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that last part.
I'm the board secretary. So he should be next in line to sign, I would assume.
Okay. Well, we can make let's get a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Mike,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Cherie.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to clarify that the board approved the sponsor contract and performance and accountability goals, and I will add in there that a designee was approved to sign that document on behalf of the board.
The sublease.
No.
This is the
Sponsor contract modifications with the changes to performance accountability, specifically the board
Yeah.
goals.
All right. Well, we are back onto Jason, the 26-27 Wellness and Success Plan.
Yes, so as I had referenced at the end of my report, that's what that is specific to, so it's just approving it for the upcoming school. If there's any questions about it.
Second.
All right, Mike,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Cherie.
Yes.
All right, and we are on to information items now. Kristen, did you want to provide your update and then pass it to Andrew?
Tanya, before we move to information items and so going back to the action item where the board tabled the MOU with the sublease, there's a tight turnaround on that. The requirement for OCCS is that that's completed by and signed by May 15th. The board delegation policy has the board chair as authorized to sign that in meetings, but I worry with how busy Ali's been that that one also might be a good place if we can find somebody that has more availability to consider and sign the sublease. Because there's no, it's not something that Pearson adds a cost to. It's just, we're breaking up the space into two subspaces. So
Is that something that has a deadline before the next meeting?
Yes,
May
May 15th.
15th.
Our deadline.
Okay, so it sounds like you'd like a designee as, we want a designee as well too. And can you say that one more time? Andrew, you're farther away.
And Todd just confirmed that he has availability before then. So if we could, the board could delegate the authority to sign this lease to board secretary as well.
So moved.
Second,
All right, Mike,
yes.
Todd,
Yeah.
Jim,
Yes.
and Cherie.
Yes.
All
I just
right, motion
clarified there,
passes.
was that only for the sublease or also for the MOU? So just to explain, it's two parts. There's going to be a memorandum of understanding between Great River and Ohio Bridge to share some common personnel and some overlapping services. And then separately, there will be the sublease from Ohio Bridge with Pearson for the one office space. So did that motion contemplate both?
No,
Is there-
the hard deadline is just for the sublease. The MOU has, I think it's probably better.
May. Okay, perfect.
Ready.
Thank you.
There's not a hard deadline.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions before we move forward? All right. Okay, so I'm gonna pass it over to you, Kristen, and if you want to kick it to Andrew once you're done.
Sure, absolutely. Well, good morning. Todd, I actually just got a draft this morning of the sublease, so I'll be able to send that over pretty quickly. I'm just going to review it and then I'll get that over. So I appreciate you being the board designee for that. We're working on the budget right now with Jason, working really closely. It will be ready for the May board meeting. It is pretty much almost done, but we didn't want to rush this because it got done this week. So we wanted to give that ample time so we can get in the packet for the board to have the time to go over it thoroughly. Those are the big things I have. And I just wanted, I know, just in the GRCA board meeting to let everybody know that Ohio Bridge was approved, and we are moving forward with it. We do have a signed contract between Pearson and the Ohio Bridge Board. And then, Amy, do you know if I didn't hear back from Matt on this one, but did the charter get signed?
Was I doing that or you, Tanya? Because if it was me, I don't believe I did it. So I apologize if I'm the one that dropped the ball on that.
I think it would be you because we haven't worked on it.
Okay. Okay. Then I will get that.
Thank you. That's all I had. I just wanted the board to know where we are, and I wanted to state that in the GRCA board meeting. So any questions for me for GRCA? Thank you. Andrew, it's your turn.
Thank you. The quarterly report, these are the leading indicators of student success. To be perfectly frank, the mid-semester passing rate data is less reliable than any of the other pieces because of there are tools like temporary zeros that help students stay on track, but artificial inflates grades, sort of a wake-up call to students that gets dropped in. So you see those sort of a dip.
Sorry, Andrew, you cut out. Can you say that again? They're muted.
Jason, you're on mute. Swinehart.
Hit the button.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Mike. Sorry. The cohort on track, honestly, again, similar here. This is the data that's in the system for the students who have enough credits to graduate on time. I think Alana did the best job I've heard at this school to date, explaining exactly, right now, what's going to be published on your report card in 2 years. That was a great explanation of every one of your kids, that even though this shows that four-year cohort 56%, when that's published in 2 years, based on the kids who graduate this spring, it'll actually be 69 to 70%. based on the data she shared, and that's that student level data. And there are, this is the data that's in Connexus. There's data that's in the state report or in the state system, and honestly, that's the data that matters the most. So I expect the numbers to come in where she said they are. And it's great to see that growth and maintaining the above the 67% threshold for graduation. Compliance for special ed is really good, which is it's an area of high risk at school, but no concerns there. During the school year withdrawal is about the same as last year, which reminder, you've grown by about 500 students overall, but in almost 200 of those students are students who come in with additional barriers. So to maintain a withdrawal rate in this year is good, because that's an indicator that next year when BCA is serving a group of students and GRC is serving the other students, you actually should see a little bit lower withdrawal rate, which is where you'd love to be able to push that down. Because to Jason's point, the more kids who are successful year over year, the fewer new students you have to find. And frankly, students just do better the longer they're in the virtual environment. So, keeping those students is really important. The CBA data, looking at those are the connections between the teachers and the students. A lot of those, the high school measures of understanding have been shifted to new tools that teacher have that the reporting hasn't caught up to it yet. So there are a lot more of the checks and live lesson using your pod and other tools. So we're working on a different reporting of that data, but no concerns with that. And looking down at the bottom are the benchmark assessments. And again, like a story here is we need to update our reporting because similarly the benchmark data, we're finding better benchmark data from benchmarks that aren't currently measured. So schools are shifting what benchmarks they're using. So in fact, part of our updates to the system for next year is they'll be able to include if they're using Acadian for certain grade levels because it provides better literacy scores, but they're using Renaissance for other grade levels because it's good in those. It'll capture that data and it'll report out those accurately. So you're seeing good rates of test participation regardless, and why that matters, it both gives you a growth measure for your students, how many students are learning a year or more, but then also the teachers are using those data to inform instruction, at the small group level. So high participation rates are important for both of those activities. So no concerns overall. The school's operating really well. So again, especially you've had another year of it's the first year of really significant growth. You've been about 1,700 students for 3 or 4 years, and now 2,300, and only 160 of those kiddos right now are students in the alt program. So the rest are just growth across all grade levels. So with that growth, you see systems stretched, and I think they've handled the stretch really well. Any questions?
So if I read those charts correctly, particularly the ones on pass rates,
right?
There may be a drop off in the K through 8 IEP populations. Is that right or wrong?
Yep. Yeah, you're seeing the decline in the students with disabilities here mid-semester. Jason, is there anything specific in the?
What you touched on earlier, where we're in mid-semester this time of year, it's a lot more of timing in terms of what we're doing in the system to give students that kick that they need, or the notation of, hey, you're trending down a little bit, you're behind, here's what you need to get caught up, etc. So nothing is sticking out, Laura. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I mean, the big thing that jumps out at me for science and social studies, specifically in K-5, is we did tweak expectations in the lower grades, and my gut tells me that the grade books are not fully reflecting those, because usually that's an end adjustment. But that doesn't address the ELA and the math piece of it. So that part of it, specifically the IEP math number, is the lowest.
Is that something we can so next month we'll know, or the next meeting we'll either know it's going to be really close to the end of the school year, so you'll see any of those tools that push progress mid-semester will have resolved by then. So it should either come back, or if you have information about what there is a real decline, information about what might be causing that. Yeah, I hate to put you on the spot to guess. Meeting. Thank you.
Are you done with your update, Andrew?
Yes.
All right, so it looks like we are on to Tara with the monthly board briefs.
Okay, I have the April brief in front of me, and there's just a few things that I wanted to highlight. Third trimester worksheets completely done, all year completely done. So that is a great thing to have accomplished. We went over attendance and truancy data, suspension and social college credit plus enrollment. Some of the things that we went over on this third trimester data collection. Under the compliance section of our brief, I just wanted to mention there's a new release of the 2026 Sunshine Law Training Manual that has the changes in the legal decisions from the past year updated in that, and there's a link there. Also, you'll be seeing in the next couple months an artificial intelligence model policy that will be approved, need to be approved by July 1st. There's information about Ohio's swatting law, and that is something that will not be a policy, but it is a report that the board must submit. So there's a definition of what swatting is and details there. Next, I just wanted to mention that under the legislation section, there's a really good summary there of Governor DeWine's final State of the State address, highlights of upcoming legislation. And so since we'll be seeing some of these things down the pike, there's under categories, there's early literacy and reading achievement. They're going to expand science of reading K-12 now with additional support to schools by regional expert teams and Read Ohio coaches. There is a new attendance dashboard, which was activated April 15th, and it provides the public attendance data of every school in Ohio. And there's details about artificial intelligence regulations for the protection of children, and there's a couple bullets there of the details that Governor DeWine covered. And I think that's about it in the brief for me.
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions? All right. Well, my item's the last one, and I fully realize I'm stopping everyone from adjourning on a Friday. I'll just let everybody know that the proposed meeting schedule is listed there. If any of you have any conflicts, concerns, reach out to me and we can adjust it. But pending any changes, this will be on the annual agenda for approval. Questions about the schedule before I move on to board composition? All right. Well, Cherie and Todd, you guys are up for renewal this year. And I know you're going to stay on the board forever, so not an issue. But I'm assuming both of you will be here for at least 20 years. However, if something has come up, please message me and let me know. But I know that you'll be here forever. That's all I have. And I know that we are now at adjournment. So I know that Allie does not normally get motions and seconds for adjournment, so we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.